Energy scenario in India. Energy scenario in India. Annual energy consumption in India is 595 MTOE and world consumption is 12,730 MTOE in 2013. It's the data of 2013, and India's energy consumption is 595 MTOE. MTOE means million tons of oil equivalent. Coal dominates with 55%. 55% of the energy used in India comes from coal. Over the years, there has been a marked increase in the share of natural gas. Use of natural gas is increasing day by day. It is because solid fuels like coal has some environmental effect. Emission is higher. Carbon emission, greenhouse gas emission, carbon dioxide emission. These are very high in case of coal, as coal contains maximum amount of carbon, whereas in natural gas carbon content is very low, so smoke and emission is very less. Commercial energy, total commercial energy used in India, 74% of total primary energy used in India comes from commercial energy. Commercial energy contributes 74% of total primary energy in India, and 26% comes from non-commercial energy. This is the energy scenario in India. Use of oil is 175.2 million ton of oil equivalent, and coal is 324.3 million ton of oil equivalent. That is, coal consumption is largest in our country. 54.5% of total primary energy consumption comes from coal. So it has huge environmental effect due to emission. 29% of primary energy comes from oil, although we have very limited oil reserve in our country. Natural gas consists only 7.8%, but use of natural gas is increasing in different industry because of low emission as well as higher calorific value. Renewable energy contribution of renewable energy is only 2%, so there is a huge scope of increasing renewable energy like solar, wind, hydel. Although hydroelectric power is there 5%, so in case of renewable energy, solar and wind has very good opportunity to increase. Coal, India has huge coal reserve. India has huge coal reserve, around 60.6 billion tons are there. Is the data of 2013. The amount is almost 6.8% of the world reserve, and it will at present rate of consumption or production, not consumption, at present rate of production, coal will survive for 100 years, another 100 years in our country. India is one of the largest producer of coal and lignite also. We have huge lignite, but lignite quality of the lignite calorific value is very less. Coal production is concentrated in the states of Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. Jharkhand and Odisha account for almost 51% coal reserve in India. In India, 80% of coal is mined only up to 150 to 300 meter depth with open cast mining, and balance 20% is mined from underground mining. Most of the coal in India is high ash coal. That is 30 to 40% of the coal. 30 to 40% of the coal is ash. So burning that coal will lead huge amount of ash. And the calorific value of the coal is 3,000 to 4,500 kilocalorie per kg. The power generation with high ash coal is challenging for efficiency as well as for environment. Coal import sharply increasing to meet the demand up. In our country, coal import is sharply increasing to meet the demand of low ash and higher calorific value coal. India mainly import coal from Australia, Indonesia, and South Africa. This is the data of production of coal in million tons in 2012-13. Coking coal 51.582 million tons, and non-coking coal 504, that is 504 million tons, and total coal production is 556 million tons, as lignite is 46.453 million ton. In 2011-12 and 10-11, in all the successive years, the production of coal is increasing to meet the ever increasing demand. Import of coal, as India has a huge coal reserve, we import coal to different countries, and coking and non-coking, there is a total coal in 2012-13, 145 million tons has been imported. In 2011-12, it is 102 million tons. So in every year, import of coal is increasing in India. While India's oil reserve is 5.7 billion barrel, that is 800 million tons. That is only 0.3%. Very alarming thing is only 0.3% of the oil reserve. The majority of the oil is reserve are located in Bombay High, Upper Assam, Kambe, Krishna Godavari basin. This is the major oil fields in India. Oil accounts for about 29% of total India's primary energy consumption. 29% of India's primary consumption comes from oil. The country's annual crude oil production is peaked at about 42 million tons. This is production in India, peak production in India, but the peak demand is 175.2. So this gap is huge, and we need to import huge amount of oil from different countries, mainly from Gulf countries. India's present reserve to production ratio is 17.5 years. 17.5 years oil will last if we produce oil at present rate, but most of the oil is imported from the different countries. If we reduce import, then this year 17.5 years will be reduced to only around 10 or more or less years. India is the fourth largest oil consuming country in the world, as India is a growing country, and we have a very limited reserve of oil. So it's very alarming, as we are developing country with the fourth largest consumer of oil, as our population is very high. India imports 75% of oil made from Gulf nations. expenses on crude oil import is sharply increasing. Import on crude oil, it is in rupees crore. In 2013-14, we have spent 8,64,000 crore to import oil. In 2012-13, it was 7.84 lakh crore. In 11-12, it is 6,72,000 crore. 6,72,000 crores of rupees. So in every year expenses in importing crude oil is increasing, as the market price, international oil price is not fixed. So this is increasing, and the second thing is our demand is also increasing. That's why the bill is increasing in every year. Natural gas accounts for only about 7.8% of the fuel consumption in the country, whereas world average is 24% in 2003. So world average was 24% world average, but whereas India is 7.8% only. That means we are not using natural gas very much, but using natural gas will give a clean environment, as the calorific value of the natural gas is high, its emission is less. But as we have very limited reserve of natural gas, we mainly import natural gas. Most of the shares are imported. So natural gas, use of natural gas is less, but to reduce the emission, the share is increasing day by day. Industry is also preferring natural gas. India's gas reserve is 1.4 trillion cubic meter by the end of 2013, which is only 0.3% of world reserve. 66% of the natural gas comes from the offshore. That is, we import 66%, only 34% is our home production. Onshore production mainly comes from our home production, mainly come from Assam, Gujarat, and Andhra Pradesh. Natural gas. Rate of consumption, natural gas will last hardly for 40 years. Power generation and fertilizer sector consumes 62% of total production of natural gas. Gas grid is being constructed to meet the consumers' bulk and retail. This is the gas grid, that is a pipeline to send gas from source point to destination or the consumer. In a few cities, gas supply is already constructed through pipelines. Electrical energy. The All India installed capacity is 344 gigawatt as on 2018. 344 gigawatt. Is utility, non-utility, I think it is not included here. It consists of hydropower, thermal power, nuclear power, and renewable power. Renewable other than hydro. This is the scenario of electric installed capacity, all in the installed capacity state-wise. Now at present, thermal power is generated is 222 gigawatt. Hydropower installed capacity is 45 gigawatt. Nuclear power is 6.78 gigawatt, and renewable sources excluding hydro is 69, around 70 gigawatt. That is total 344 gigawatt is installed capacity. Energy pricing in India. Pricing of energy does not reflect true cost to society. In India, energy prices are undervalued as energy wastage are not taken seriously. Pricing practice is influenced by political, social, economic compulsions at the state and central level. It's a very important factor, that is pricing pricing in electricity, pricing energy pricing, not only electricity, is influenced by political, social, economical compulsion of the states and countries. Not only in India, it is equally applicable to uh, other countries also. In India, energy sector offers many examples of cross subsidy. Some cross subsidies are there. Diesel, LPG, and kerosene being subsidized by petroleum products for industrial use. So there is subsidy, cross subsidy. Industrial and commercial consumers of electricity subsidizing the agriculture and consumer. That is also cross subsidy. So energy pricing is not reflecting the actual scenario. Energy pricing of coal. Gatewise basic price of coal at the pit head excluding statutory levies for run-off mine coal are fixed by Coal India Limited. In India, Coal India Limited is sole authority to fix the rate of coal, pit head rate of the coal uh, for different grade, excluding the levies. Pit head price of coal in India compares favorably with price of imported coal. We often import high-grade coal to meet the demand because we have our coal in our coal ash content is very high. That's why we import coal from different country like Australia, South Africa, Indonesia. So price period price of the coal in India compares favorably with price of imported coal. In spite of this, industry still import coal due to higher calorific value. Actually, this is the main factor why we import coal. We have huge coal reserve and we can produce coal for next 100 years. But the main thing is our coal ash quantity is higher. And the calorific value, naturally the calorific value is also less. That's why we import coal from different countries. Energy pricing of oil. As part of the energy sector reforms, the government has attempted to bring prices for many of the petroleum products in line with international prices. The most important achievement has been the linking of diesel price to international price and a reduction in subsidy. So this is the very key factor in reform in oil sector. However, LPG and kerosene consumed mainly by domestic sectors continue to be heavily subsidized. Subsidies and cross subsidies have resulted in serious distortions in price as they do not reflect economic cost in many cases. Energy pricing for natural gas. The government has been the sole authority for fixing the price of natural gas in the country. It has also been taking decision on the allocation of gas to various competing consumers. The gas price per cubic meter varies time to time. Energy price for electricity. In electricity, tariff in India are structured in a relatively simple manner. Tariff of electricity is relatively simple compared to uh, gas, oil and gas. High tension consumers are charged based on both demand kVA and energy kilowatt hour. That is the charge tariff depends on high tension consumers, it depends on kVA as well as kilowatt hour. Low tension, low voltage consumers pays only for the energy consumed, that is kilowatt hour, as per tariff system. The price per kilowatt hour varies significantly across states as well as consumer segments within the state. For different states, per unit electricity price is different, and in the same state, for different consumer group, the rate is not fixed, tariff is not fixed. Domestic, urban, industrial sector, agriculture. So these are the sector, and for every sector, price or tariff are different. Tariff in India have been modified to consider the time of use, that is peak period of peak period, daytime, night time, and voltage level of supply, that is high voltage supply, low voltage supply. Some state electricity boards have additional recovery from customers in the form of fuel surcharges, electricity duties, and taxes. Energy sector reforms. Since the initiation of economic reforms in India in 1991, there have been several reforms of different sectors of the economy in government and private sectors. It is now being realized that reform is required in several critical sectors of the economy, among which the infrastructure sector in general and the energy sector in particular are paramount. Reforms in coal sector. The government has recognized the need for new coal policy initiatives and for rationalization of the legal and regulatory framework of development of this industry. One of the key reforms is that the government has allowed importing of coal to meet our requirements. So government has allowed to import coal for your own requirement for different industry. Further reforms are Coal Mines Special Provisions Bill 2014 passed in Parliament. So this is another reform. The ultimate objective of the measures are to improve the competitive environment among various entities in this industry. The main factor of the reform is to improve, enhance the competition among the industries. Competition would also have a desirable effect on bringing in new technology. In the coal industry, actually coal industry is suffering for lack of innovation for a long time. These reforms will open the market so the competition will be higher, and hence the new technologies will be introduced in this sector. Reforms in oil and natural gas. Since 1993, private investors have been allowed to import and market LPG and kerosene. So private investors are welcome in LPG and kerosene. So they can import and market in India. Private investment is also been allowed in lubricants like Mobil, which are not subject to price control. Price of these lubricants will not be controlled by government. In 1997, the government introduced the new exploration licensing policy in an effort to promote investment in the exploration and production of domestic oil and gas. The refining sector has been opened to private. This is one of the major reforms. The refining sector has been opened to private and foreign investors in order to reduce imports of refined products and to encourage investment in this sector. Reforms in electricity sector. Following the enactment of the Electricity Regulatory Commission legislation, the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission (CERC) was set up to regulating the central power generation utilities. State level authority, state level regulatory bodies have been set up to set tariff and promote competition. Private investments in power generation were also allowed. This is another reform. National power grid has already been constructed. This is another achievement. The government has enacted Electricity Act 2003 for qualitative transformation of the electricity.